welcome to another episode of the Skin and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about that time that I worked at a franchise day spa. So if you're new to the industry, maybe you can learn through my experience, and I'll be talking about some of the pros and mostly the cons. So I didn't take any notes for this episode. I normally do take notes, but this is kind of just a more organic story time, talking about the time, of course, that I worked at a franchise day spa. I'm not going to say which one it was, just because I don't feel like it. I am still friends with a couple of the people that did work there on Facebook. I don't know if they're listening to my podcast. It's not like I'm being ugly. I'm just talking about facts from my point of view through my experience working there. But anyways, I'm going to start from the beginning. This was my second job in the industry, but I call it like my first real job. So my first job, I was actually an independent contractor, but I shouldn't have been because it was my first job. I didn't know much. I just wasn't getting the clients in. So I was at this original place for it was less than a year. And then I got a job offer from this franchise day spa that was literally like right across the street. And so I was there for about 2 years, military, of course. So, no, I actually quit there before EPCS. But anyways, I was there for about 2 years. And so that was a place where I did learn quite a bit in the beginning about aesthetics. I did have a mentor. In most franchises, they call it a lead esthetician. And so they will oversight the aesthetics department in terms of like the inventory. Then they will usually do the trainings. And so I was grateful for that experience, having a mentor starting out because, I was a little baby esthetician. So yeah, I learned some valuable stuff there, but to kind of paint the picture for you guys, it was a pretty nice day spa. It was small, so we had nail technicians, massage therapists, and aesthetics. And of course, like most or all franchise day spas, they have protocols, so everyone is operating, at the same quality, and everyone is like doing the same thing, so you just have that consistency there, which that totally makes sense. But now that I am an experienced esthetician, that is something I would never do because I have my own way of doing things, my own methodology, so I would never want to go under someone else's protocol. But in the beginning, that can be useful because you don't really have a protocol to begin with. But so it was very structured. We had quotas to meet, and our pay was supposed to be evaluated upon our performance. So we would, if we met like a certain goal, we would get like free products. And after like a year of being there, if you meet a consistent goal, then you're supposed to get a raise. And that really was my big disappointment, was that I was actually performing higher than the lead esthetician because, I think she got pregnant. But anyways, I was bringing in more money than her. I was performing more treatments and stuff. And when my evaluation came, it was decided that I actually wasn't going to get a raise, and that totally didn't make any sense to me. It was very unfair. That's not what I was told. I deserved to get a raise, and so that really put a bad taste in my mouth, along with some other things that happened. I don't know if it's just like management or if that's like a common thread in franchise spas where like they say that you're going to get a raise and then they kind of string you along and don't give you one. I don't know if that's the case, or the theory was that she wanted to make sure that I could stay consistent with those goals before I actually got a raise, but I had already been consistent with them, so it really was like, why am I doing this and then I'm not, getting a promotion? So there was that, and then there was like ethics, I guess. I don't know if I would guess you would call it ethics. or like moral standing. So it was a day spa. We did have an advanced treatment. We had the hydrofacial that we performed there. That was another thing that was cool was, I learned how to do the hydrofacial there. And then when I moved into my next job, I had already had that. When I moved into a med spa after I had left this franchise, I had that under my belt. So that really did help me there. But yeah, they, of course, I don't know if it's just the management or with it being a franchise, it was like, meet this quota, sell this amount of retail, per month or whatever. And so it was always pushing that. And to the management that was there, she actually wasn't a professional in the industry. So I don't know if there was kind of a disconnect there. But being the professional that I was, I knew that what we had to offer there at the day spa would not be able to address every single person's concerns, because some people need more than that. Like, you need to have the integrity to refer people out when you can't offer them what they need. And so this specific scenario, it was like the owner's friend or something, and she was coming to get a hydrofacial, and she actually had melasma. Okay, the hydrofacial is great, and it has a serum that you can use in it, and it's like a brightening serum. But that alone was not going to help her melasma. And I told her that we could use that, but she needed something more effective. And we didn't offer anything medical grade. At the moment, we didn't offer anything that would treat her melasma to the level that she was really wanting. And so because I told her that we didn't have the offerings to really make an effective difference in her skin, she told the owner this, and then I was confronted and like, why are you telling clients that we can't help them? Because I have integrity and respect as a professional, and I want to respect my name, and I'm not going to give people false hope. I'm not going to lie to people just to get a buck. That might be something you're comfortable with. But so that was another reason I wasn't really comfortable there, because it seemed like it was a little bit more about money than it was about quality care and honesty with what we could offer. Additional with that, it was when the hydrofacial reps had come in and told us that we could do the hydrofacial once a week for someone, that we could do once a week routine. No. They have, I think even more now, but we were using like 5 and 10% alpha hydroxy acid in the hydrofacial. Your skin cell regeneration is only every 28 days. It doesn't make sense to do that once a week. That's just a little excessive. And so it's so funny. So I was more interested in the medical aesthetics whenever I had been there for a little while, and I was just, exploring and continuing my education. I took a microneedling course through Dr. Lance Sutterfield, and my ultimate goal was to move into a med spa later on. I wasn't planning on doing it so soon, or while we were still in Texas, because I was comfortable there up until that point. But I had, there's the Facebook groups, and I actually didn't care. I was laughing about it, but I didn't post it in the Facebook group. I accidentally posted it on my personal Facebook page, and it was this long question. It was like, oh, I've just been doing this course through Dr. Lance Sutterfield, and I've been learning a lot of new stuff, and like your skin cell regeneration is only every 28 days. Our hydrofacial rep said that you could come in once a week, and the owner is really pushing us to tell people that they can come in for the hydrofacial every week, and that just doesn't seem right to me. Like, what do you guys think? Is it about greed, or is it really okay to get a hydrofacial every week for everyone? And I accidentally posted that on my personal page, and of course my the lead esthetician saw it, and the owner saw it and everything, and we had to sit down, and they were like, oh, we don't appreciate you, you should have come to us. And yeah, I probably should have come to them with my concern, but I felt like I wouldn't have been respected if I did. But anyways, besides the point, yeah, that kind of really put a merge in between me and the franchise, because like they knew that I wasn't agreeing with their methodology and the way that they did things, as I continued to learn more. And so after that, I was going to do online schooling for medical assisting. And I ended up not doing it because we got PCS orders and I didn't want to do it online. I want to do some of it in person. And so I was honest with the owner. I was like, hey, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here because I'm actually looking to switch to the medical side of aesthetics. I'm going to be going to school for this. And so I will give you a timeline on whenever that happens. I'm not just going to up and leave because I'm a respectable person. And I will let you know. And so she was like, okay, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you for telling me that. And so, oh, and I also told her I was like, so I'm going to be leaving either because I'm going to be doing the schooling for medical assisting, or we're going to be PCSing. So one of the two. I'm just letting you know that to be expecting my 2-week resignation here sometime soon. Never do that. Look out for yourself. People don't care about you. If you're I'm a very giving person and I care too much, people don't give a shit about you. In the industry especially, they will replace you in a heartbeat. You are of no value to them. And so I shouldn't have even had the respect to tell her that, this was on my radar. So with that being said, I was going to move into the medical side of things, or we were going to PCS. And so I went ahead and put in an application for a medical spa, because that's where I was moving into, and that is what I told my previous boss. And she got wind that I had put in an application to a medical spa, and she called me out of the blue and was acting crazy. And I was really caught by surprise because I was like, I told you this. I told you that I was moving to the medical side of aesthetics, or we were going to be PCSing. And she was like, you didn't tell me that. You just told me that you were going to be moving. And I'm like, no, I didn't. Whatever. And she was speaking to me like I've never been spoken to before. And I'm just like, I'm not doing this. I was like, I can give you my 2 weeks right now. And she was like, we don't need your 2 weeks. And I'm like, that's fine, because I do not want to see your face anyways, if this is how you're going to act and you're going to act crazy. So that was an abrupt end. That's not how I would have ended things, but that's how they wanted to end things. So we just let that sit. And so, of course, not every franchise day spa is like that. But that specific owner, she was not a professional. So I think that kind of meant a lot. And then it was also just a toxic work environment, because they would hire college kids to be the concierge, no previous experience in the industry really. And I mentioned in one of my other episodes that if you have a concierge, I'm sorry, because if it's someone that's not bomb at their job, a negative experience with them is going to affect the client's experience with you. And that happened all too often, because these kids, they either didn't care, or they just weren't experienced, or they didn't care that much about their job. And I think the craziest experience that I had was everybody knows if you're 15 minutes late for your appointment, that's usually the cutoff time where you have to reschedule. And if you're any late for your appointment at all, then you're going to get a phone call. If you don't answer, whatever, that's fine. But when they come in, if you're late, you have to be like, yo, you're late. So this is going to cut into your appointment time, or we can go ahead and reschedule. Well, apparently they didn't tell this woman this, and she was already 15 minutes late for her appointment, and I had someone right after her. And so she came in the room or whatever, and she had laid down in the bed. I was thinking that they had already told her this. And so when I sat down in the chair, she was already comfortable. She had to dress down under the blanket and everything. And I was like, okay, just to reinstate what they had already told you. We're going to shorten your facial a little bit since you were late. So I can either cut out the massage or I can cut out the extractions. And she was really caught off guard and upset by this. Like, bitch, did you really think that my time is not valuable and that I don't have anything else in the day, like anything else to do, that you can just like come in here whenever you want? But anyways, so she was like super pissy, and this woman got up butt ass naked in front of me and like huff and puffing. I don't even remember what she was saying, but she got up naked in front of me and just like put her robe on and walked out, and then got dressed and like proceeded to leave, and was pissed off because her appointment was going to be shortened. And so all of this could have been avoided if the people at the front told her, even though she knew she was late. So like, yeah, there were always complications there with just the staff not being picked, selectively. But also, with that being said, if you are new and you don't have any previous job history, a lot of the times franchise day spas are where you will get your best bet, because they go through people like crazy. And there's a reason they go through people like crazy, is because they don't value their employees. And so if you just graduated and you're thinking about getting a job and you're looking at franchise day spas or whatever, be aware of that. You're not going to be a valued employee most of the time. There might be like an exception, and you might have a really great boss. But generally, I feel like that's not the case. So just be aware of that. And what else? What other juicy details there? I think, yeah, that was it. I mean, yeah, the pros are just that I did learn some valuable things starting out, and with all the protocols and everything that there was, that kind of helped to shape me in the beginning and give me some structure. But then the cons being you're undervalued, overworked, the staff members aren't really chosen wisely. Yeah, you run into things that you shouldn't have to run into because of customer care. But yeah, I was there for 2 years, and then the med spa that I actually applied to accepted my job offer. Sadly, I was only there for about 6 months because we did indeed PCS, and we moved to Washington. But I was really grateful that I was able to have that experience at that med spa before we moved, because I did also learn a lot there, and I was able to have that on my resume for the future. And I really do think this is something that every industry professional is going to go through, unless you're like one of God's chosen ones and you just get all the perfect jobs and all the perfect bosses. This isn't the last place that I went that was kind of like toxic and undervalued me. It was actually my first job whenever we did move to Washington. I wasn't there for very long because they set like unrealistic standards for me. So a non-compete, everyone knows that a non-compete doesn't really hold up, but they made me sign a non-compete, and then, I didn't really care about that because I knew that it was kind of like bullshit, it didn't matter, but, and then I actually didn't even see this in the contract. It came up after when I tried to take vacation. She was like, oh, in the contract, it says that you have to work here for a year before you can take time off. What the F? Who does that? And so that was pretty much my reaction. I was like, I do not remember that. And F that. I'm going to see my family. You can't tell me I'm not seeing my family. This job does not mean that much to me. I was actually, I hadn't even transferred my license yet, so I was just doing a receptionist. And I was like, girl, this job does not mean that much to me. I'm out of here. So yeah, you go through it, you grow through it. I actually probably would not have it any other way because it taught me valuable lessons, and I will never put myself in a position where I am undervalued ever again. And it was just a learning experience. So I hope that maybe some of you got some valuable information from this, or maybe just were entertained with my story. If you did make it this far, I want to thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next Monday at 8 a.m. for another episode.